Suppose that an extract from a muscle cell contains only the following: all the enzymes of the glycolytic pathway, including the enzyme that converts pyruvate to lactate, phosphate and other salts, NAD plus and ADP. When the extract is incubated anaerobically and glucose is introduced, neither pyruvate nor lactate is produced. What must be added in order for pyruvate to actually be made? So remember that pyruvate, for it to be made, you need glycolysis. So glycolysis actually has to be happening, right? So this is actually one of the end products of glycolysis, right? Now, if we look at these answer choices, glycolysis does not require oxygen to occur. So this is not going to help. And acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl-CoA, is also not involved in glycolysis, okay? Pyruvate is necessary to produce acetyl coenzyme A, and that happens in the mitochondria, right? But that's going to primarily happen under aerobic conditions, right? And you actually would need pyruvate to be there for that to occur, right? So this isn't going to help us get more pyruvate. So then we're left with B and C. So C is NADH, which is a reducing equivalent, right? But in glycolysis, that's the oxidation of glucose. So glucose has to be oxidized to get to pyruvate, right? And so we need an oxidizing agent, which we already have, which is NAD+, okay? NADH would be produced in glycolysis, but it's not going to help us produce pyruvate, okay? Now, it could actually help us produce lactate if we had pyruvate, because, of course, pyruvate to lactate is a reduction reaction where NADH reduces pyruvate, right, to lactate. But if we don't have pyruvate to begin with, again, that won't happen. So then we're left with ATP. And notice that if we look again, they did not mention including ATP. They only have ADP. And remember that you actually need ATP for glycolysis to occur. Glycolysis produces a net of 2 ATP, but you use up 2 ATP in the first phase, in the first half of glycolysis, the investment phase. Specifically in step 1, which is going to be the enzyme hexokinase, which catalyzes basically phosphorylation of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, which uses ATP. And then step 3, which is catalyzed by the rate determining enzyme, which is phosphofructokinase 1, which catalyzes phosphorylation of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, right? And so these 2 steps use 2 ATP, right? And then you get the payout phase in the latter half of glycolysis where you get 4 ATP backs for a net of 2 ATP. But for glycolysis to occur, you actually need ATP to begin with.